Strength Warehouse presents Go Heavy or Go Home podcast. I am your host, Nate Boley. In this podcast, we talk about strength, fitness, nutrition, and all things Strength Warehouse related. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast, season 2. We're going to get into some fitness myths, and I just want to kind of bust those myths, right? So there's a couple of ones I hear all the time, especially with new people coming in and women in particular that don't want specific things to happen when they do weightlifting, right? And so I just kind of want to bust these myths. But anyway, I'm your host, Nate Boley, co-owner here of Strength Warehouse Gym here in Bend. And yeah, we're just looking to help people get strong and have a good time and while they're doing it, right? So like I said, today's topic is common gym workout questions and myths. And topic number 1 is weightlifting and bulking up, right? So the myth is that if you lift weights, especially heavy weights, it's going to make you super bulky. And this is just not true. Like, you have to do specific things in order to get the bigger muscle mass, right? So you can't just lift weights and not eat food and not sleep and not recover and expect to just be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It takes very intentional thought process and execution in order to get that kind of muscle. So yes, you will gain muscle if you do strength training. Now, strength training is a huge scope of practice, right? So it goes all the way from like strongman, weightlifting, powerlifting, down to more like kettlebell, dumbbell stuff, and all the way down to like Pilates, right? So anything you're doing that's resistance against your muscles is actually strength training, right? But there's different forms of strength training, right? So like doing Pilates is really tough. I've done a Pilates class before. Is it going to make you big and bulky? No. Is it going to make you really strong? No. Is it good for general fitness? Yeah, it's it's good, especially for people that maybe have injuries or just getting into their fitness routine and never really done anything before. It's definitely great, right? And then you get into like more lighter dumbbells and kettlebell stuff. Again, not going to get super strong on this, but you're still going to gain a little bit of muscle and a little bit of strength and a little bit of bone density and that type of stuff. And you work more into the powerlifting, weightlifting and strongman stuff. And that's the ultimate like strength training, right? You're going to get strong really quickly. You're going to be able to add more weight to the barbells really quickly or whatever you're doing. But you're not necessarily going to gain a ton of muscle. You have to do some different rep schemes. So ultimately, strength training is turning down to like between 1 and 5 reps. And then you're going to start getting into some hybrid stuff in like the 5 to 8 reps, where you're going to be getting strength, but you're also going to be building a little bit more muscle mass. And then you get into the more hypertrophy, where you're going to be building muscle mass into that 8 to 12 to 15 rep ratio. And so if you're doing that type of stuff, you're looking more for the muscle mass. If you're having less than 8 reps, you're looking for more of that strength. Again, you can pair this together, which is how we do it in our group classes and here at Strength Warehouse, and how I train particularly right now is where I do my heavy sets first, my squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, stuff like that. You're going to do your heavy strength 1 to 5 reps, and then you're going to back off and do lighter weight for more reps and get in the repetitions, and then that's going to give you some muscle mass building. So that's how we do it in the gym, but there's more to that than just meets the eye, right? You can't just lift heavy weights for more reps and expect to gain more muscle. You have to be able to have your nutrition on point, and you have to have your recovery on point as well. So if those two things are not involved, you're definitely not going to be gaining a lot of muscle mass. So for me, particularly, like I do heavy strength training, and I do my hypertrophy work, and then I eat a ton of food, right? So and then I rest and I recover. So it allows me to grow muscle mass over time. And so a lot of people come to see us. They are endurance athletes, and there's been some studies out there which Matt Allen and I have gone over with, one of the guys that's been on my podcast for a long time, an endurance coach here at Strength Warehouse, where they actually say that if you've done strength training and then you go out and do some cardio stuff, your body's actually going to start to it won't add the resources to adding more muscle mass. It'll add more resources towards your endurance. And it's kind of the same thing, I think, with the other way. So if you're going to, I don't know this is for sure, but it would make sense where if you do your strength training and then, you do your endurance and then you do some strength training, you still would get more benefit on the strength training side than the endurance, which is how I do it. And so I think that just an N equals 1, because I only have my experience to do this, that's how you'd want to do it if you were still looking for muscle mass gains but wanted to get some endurance as well, right? So reality is muscle gain is slow and it's a dedicated process. And, strong individuals, their bodies vary completely. I'm a powerlifting referee. I'm an international referee for the USPA Federation here in the United States. And I've been the head referee, and I've walked up to the platform and seen a massive amount of weight on the barbell. And then I look and I see the person who's going to lift this weight, and they do not look very muscular at all. And I'm like, there's no way this person is going to lift this weight. And sure as heck, they come up and they lift the weight and they surprise the crap out of me, right? I've also seen huge muscular guys that have giant biceps and veins, and girls as well, right? Not, super like bodybuilder style women and men that have really prioritized that muscle mass and not the strength, and they don't lift half as much as the guys and the women that are doing it for strength. So don't worry about gaining muscle mass that easily. If you figure out the special sauce, please let me know. I will let a lot of guys that are going to be super happy to know the secret sauce. But you're not just going to get super strong, or you're not going to get super bulky, right away from strength training. It has to be a very intentful process, and we can help you mitigate that stuff if you start to gain too much muscle. Okay, well, let's do some different stuff. All right. Starting working out after 30. I literally just got off the phone with somebody that was like, well, I don't want to do a powerlifting competition because I've only been training for 7 years. And I'm like, dude, that's a long time to not. If you want to compete, you better do it now, right? Before you get too beat up and whatever. But yes, you can work out. The common concern is it too late? Have I let it go too long? And the answer is absolutely not. Are you alive? Are you breathing? Can you move? Yes, you can absolutely strength train and you can absolutely work out. Our clients range from their mid 30s. We've all had them all the way up to 80. 82 actually was our oldest member of the gym for a while. And we have several members in the gym that are in their 50s and 60s, and they're strength training and they're loving life. And they tell me that they're feeling better than they did in their 50s and 40s because they weren't doing this type of stuff. So we have tailored programs for all age age categories. We have some younger kids in here, we have some middle-aged people, we have some later middle-aged people, and then we have some some elderly people as well. We work on kids camp is coming up here in the end of March, and that's going to be awesome for younger kids. And we work with some one-on-ones as well with the younger kids. And then we have our middle-aged people, in their 30s all the way up to their 60s that work out in our group classes. And then we just started a Legends program, which is going to be 60-ish and up, and it's going to be a little bit more catered towards making sure that what their goals are, we're giving them the correct programming for that so they don't hurt themselves. And so, as you age, strength training will change. Just for an example, like when I was in my early 20s, I was training like a savage. I was squatting super heavy, multiple times a week. I was benching multiple times a week. I was deadlifting multiple times a week. I was running strongman, stuff on the weekends. I was just able to go. Now I'm almost 40. I have to back off that because if I do all that volume, I just end up getting hurt, especially with the amount of weight that I was trying to push. Now, do I still work out multiple times a week? Absolutely. Do I still go out hiking? Yeah, I do. So yes, we can tailor programs for all different ages. You're definitely not too late to start to the game, and you're definitely not too old to compete because there's classes in the competition powerlifting all the way up until you're 100 years old. And I've seen a 98-year-old guy compete. No, I think he was 93. I don't remember. Somewhere in the mid-90s. Competed in Worlds in England when we went to in October, and it was so cool to see him actually lift. Number 3 topic for the day is tips for building muscle, right? So focus areas we're going to talk about is protein intake and consistent weight training and individualized routines and dietary guidance. And that's really where the coaches come to play, right? Because you get these cookie cutter programs offline, and you go to these places where I don't want to say anything bad about any coaches, but you go to places where the coaching is just, it's like they took a weekend course and now they're ready to go, right? And they just don't have the expertise that a lot of other gyms and a lot of our people at our gym have, like 10 years, 15 years, 8 years, like a lot of years training a lot of clients, seeing a lot of different types, seeing a lot of different goals, reaching every single one of those, right? So you want to focus, if you're trying to build muscle, you have to focus on protein intake. You have to have more protein than you think. Right? And the standard is like 0.1 for every pound of lean body mass. How do we find that out? Well, we put you on our in-body scanner. We get a great idea of where your muscle mass is, and then we can cater to know exactly where your protein intake needs. And then we can track it over time, right? And then consistent weight training. You can't expect to just gain 30 pounds of muscle, short of performance enhancing drugs in a short period of time. If you're going to do it naturally, which is the way we want, advocate to do that, then you're going to want to do it over time, right? So, and then individualized routines, right? So our group programming is awesome for helping people get there. It's definitely not catered, but we can modify things and we can have you do other things if you need to. But it's a great overarching umbrella program that's a hybrid program. So you're going to get strength and hypertrophy, right? And then dietary guidance. That's why we have nutrition programs in the gym with one-on-one catered nutrition advice and macronutrients for you and your specific ideal, right? Again, it's really hard to do these things on your own, and that's why we developed the coaching practice and program that we have today, because it works really, 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 really well. All right, number 4 topic is achieving six-pack abs. Common misconception, spot reduction. Effective approach, cardio and strength training, and actually nutrition. Actually, I would say that's probably even more. Nutrition is absolutely the key to getting there. And then really the goal should be reducing body fat overall. So it's unfortunate, but you can gain muscle. It seems like fat will go in certain areas, and that's pretty true, right? So guys, you see guys, they have the beer belly, and girls have like the hips and stuff like that. And that's kind of the traditional way that, fat mass is stored on individuals and different genders. But overall, if you reduce your overall body fat, you're going to reduce the fat in the areas that you want it to go. And without doing like liposuction or something like that, some crazy surgery, there's really no way to just say, hey, I want to get rid of body fat in my stomach and nowhere else. But the biggest thing you want to do is you want to have strength training. You want to build the muscle. And that's the thing that keeps the fire stoked and the metabolism going, because your muscles take more calories to survive than fat does. So you're going to be in a caloric deficit quicker if you have more muscle mass. Plus, you not only burn muscle while you're lifting the weights, you burn fat and calories while you're resting as well, because your body's still having to repair itself and you're adding more muscle. So it's a kind of a three-way sword, if you will. But you also want cardio, because cardio is really great for your your lungs, your heart, your circulatory system, and it's a great way to also burn calories as well. So currently I do strength training. I do it mixed way. So 1 week I'll do strength training first, cardio second, and the other days I do cardio first and strength training second, which is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do my cardio first, my strength training after that. So that is the best ways for you to get to your overarching goals. And again, having coaches help you track all this stuff, so you can just go do what you want. The stuff that you love in life. Maybe it's go hiking, hanging out with your dog. Maybe it's I'm super busy with family and work, and I don't want to have to think about another thing, right? That's why we're here. This is what we do all day long with thousands of clients, is help them get to their goals. So hope, closing remarks, really, hope to have a clear fitness. We hope you have a clear fitness picture after this podcast, and we would love to have you guys joining our gym. And if you are joining our gym, we'd love to talk to you about your goals as well. And we support all of our listeners with hopefully helpful tips and stuff like that. If you guys have anything you want me to chat about or something you haven't heard me talk about, shoot me an email, info@benstrengthwarehouse.com. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the podcast. And if there's anything you guys want me to cover, I know I come out with these weekly, And if I get somebody that says, hey, talk about this, it makes it actually really easy for me to get new podcast material, new content. Also, if you really want to be on the if you feel like you have got a great story to tell or you have something to add to the podcast, definitely would love to have you reach out to me and see if we can make something happen. That'd be awesome. But yeah, anyway, guys, these are the 4 kind of things that I hear all the time, and I'm just like, no, please stop thinking that way. This is not the real way. This is not the way we do it anymore. There's new advances in technologies and studies and time and all that type of stuff that has really driven the strength training industry into new heights. And I'm super proud to kind of be on the bottom of it. When at first, people are like, strength training is whatever. And now really people are like, yeah, strength training is it. Because I've just been on the top of a mountaintop with my microphone and my podcast, just yelling to the world, you need strength training. It's good for balance. It's good for muscle mass. It's good for bone density. It's good for tendons. It's good for, those feel good endorphins. And it's just great for life. Just the other day, somebody told me that they needed to lift this 50-pound bag of dog food and take it over to their neighbor's house because it was dropped off at their house. And, if they weren't strength training, that could be a really daunting task, and maybe you couldn't even do it. One of our clients, their goal was to be able to put their carry-on luggage in an overhead bin without asking the person next to them to help them get it in and out. That's a huge sense of independence and just feel good. Like, yes, I can do this. And as we get older, I think the statistic is right now, every decade you lose 7% of your muscle mass. So if you don't have a ton of muscle mass to begin with, man, you guys are going to be, it's a snowballing effect, right? And pretty soon you're in your, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you've lost, a significant, amount of muscle mass and strength. So now's the time to do it. Now is the time to build the muscle so it's easier when you get older and you don't, lose as much as you get older. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys. And I'm going to leave you with how I leave you every single time. And that is that failure is not fatal. Success is not final. It is the courage to continue that counts. And everything you want in this life is on the other side of your fear. So get out there today and take some action. All right, guys, I'll see you on the other side.
Thanks for joining us on this epic journey of strength. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and share with a friend. To stay connected, hit that subscribe button. All right, until next time, go heavy or go home.